to me, consistency is the most important thing.
Like that.
And I think people need to understand is like based off how consistent you're going to be is going to directly tie to your weight.
Right.
So if you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to maintain weight, well, you need to look at what are you doing consistently.
I'll tell you what, Coach, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to wear a muscle shirt or not. You're going to put me to work. So I apologize. I'm in work clothes, but I can change if needed, you know.
Welcome back to Recommended Daily Dose. I'm your host, Dr. Clinton Coleman, along with my colleague, Dr. Suraj Saggar. We had a wonderful guest today, Coach Lee Agbohlah. He is a fitness coach and certified personal trainer. He personally promised that he would help Dr. Saggar shred his unwanted, stubborn body fat, boost his performance, and recapture his youth without living in the gym. Sacrificing craft beers. No, let me finish the intro. Sacrificing craft beers or pizza night with your family. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks. Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad to join you today.
So we wanted to get an idea of fitness in the world of living in COVID, how your personal journey and how you got to be a fitness coach and a personal trainer. So how did it all start for you?
Yeah, I think it started just for me being active as a kid. I was always active and really just loved sports. Sports got me into being active. So, you know, playing different sports as kids, but football was always my game. You know, that's something I knew right away that I wanted to do. So football, you know, once you get involved in high school, you really have to start working on your fitness. You know, you can't just, you know, practice and not do the conditioning and the strengthening and stuff. So, you know, originally getting started, I'm not going to lie, I was not into it. It was just like, you better do it, you know, if you're going to play the game, basically. So for me, I, you know, went to school, and that's when it really had clicked for me that, hey, I wanted to do something to help people. That's where the passion really developed. And then even within myself and my personal journey, I got more into fitness as I started loving how getting stronger and everything that came with it. You know, when you're seeing the changes in your body, you're seeing the changes with the other things that go with it. So that really got me to wanted to do more with it and help people. And that's what I've been doing since.
So you mentioned that you're doing it initially in terms of getting better at a specific sport, but then it kind of grew into just fitness, you know, and bettering your life. So I wonder, you know, do you apply your principles to all sports? Like, for instance, Clinton, as you may
wait, you know what? You're talking about sports. I think the conversation is going to be mostly with me, like, because I can understand. I can understand the figures of basketball.
I should ask the coach. I mean, do you consider tennis, speed walking, and jazzercise two things that Clinton, you know, spends a lot of his time doing? I mean, is that considered a sport? And, you know, what can you do for him? I know his knees bother him when he speed walks, you know, on Sunday afternoons in the park, and then he does a lot of jazzercise and et cetera. But all kidding aside, you know, it's very exciting to talk to you because, and like Clinton alluded to earlier, and we would love to hear your thoughts. With COVID now coming in almost in a year, it's dramatically affected people physically, mentally. Obviously, you know, we're looking at it from a medical point of view, but from a fitness point of view, from physical exercise, et cetera. I mean, what have you been seeing? How has that changed what you do and what you've been seeing in people?
Yeah, man, I think the pandemic has hit all of us in different areas. And I think what you mentioned, like, it's hard, you know, you don't have the typical things you love doing. I know for myself, there's things that I love to do that I haven't been able to do. So I think that's the first thing is like missing the enjoyment that you have, you know, not having the connection with your family, not having all that stuff. So probably the last thing you want to think about sometimes is working out, right? And for the people that were heavily involved with their routines and everything, it got thrown off, right?
Completely disrupted.
Yeah. I mean,
they call it the quarantine 15 as an entity.
Right. It's just like, we used to refer to as the first freshman 15, right?
That's right.
It became the COVID 15. And I think it's just weird all over. You know, for me, I'm online, so I could talk to people all over the country. And you think here in Texas, you know, we're a little bit more lenient with stuff. So, you know, we were only out the gym, I think 6 weeks, but then you talk to somebody in California, you know, they still don't have the gym. So for most people, it's like you get used to having that routine. When you have that routine, you kind of build the habits. It's easy. Yeah. So when you tell somebody, hey, you don't have the gym anymore, you don't have other stuff in your life, it just becomes hard. Big thing I like to talk about is adaptability. But for a lot of us, it's hard to wanting to adapt or willing to adapt. So I think that's the big thing. When you're not having the routine that you love to do, it's like, what do you do now? Right. And if you're kind of like me, I'm not going to lie, when that had happened, it's like, well, I like lifting heavy weights. Right. I don't want to do band workouts at home, and I don't want to, do all workouts at home. So for other people, they might be feeling the same, that enjoy the typical things. So it might be, the cardio equipment at the gym that you enjoy, or some of the weights. So it's like, if, hey, I tell you, you got to do something different, you might lack the knowledge to understanding how to work out at home or wanting to do. So it just kind of comes with that. I think that's a big thing that happened, and it threw a lot of people off, unfortunately.
So just backing up, before COVID, were you mainly doing training clients at gym, at home, online, or did the online part of your business model, so to speak, grow out of COVID?
So when I first started as a trainer, I did the typical model, personal training and, big box gym, the health club, typical health club. Right. So that was my experience of starting. When I left the gym, I knew I wanted to start doing my own thing. Sure. I had heard about online coaching because, the internet has blown up with a lot of things that we're doing nowadays. So I had first heard about it. I would see all the great things that the online coaches were talking about. And I knew it made sense for me to eventually adopt that into what I would do with coaching. Originally it started, I was still personal training some of the clients I had once I left the gym, right. And I was wanting to get online. So when 2020, started, I had told myself like, hey, I want to go completely online because I think this is going to be the best for me and for my clients going forward, right. Because I felt like I could do more. So it just happened. It just kind of happened right before everything, like with shutdowns. I had started to go fully online in February. So right. I had already made a decision, but once it happened, I was like, man, that was the best thing I could do.
Sure.
Do you see any challenges with online versus in person? Like when you in person, like you're there, you're motivating me, we're working out together. Online, you really don't have that, or I don't know if you have that. What are the differences? Is one better than the other?
Personally, now that I'm an online coach, it's unquestionably, I believe that what I do now is 10 times the value, and I personally think it works better for most people. But this is what I will say as a coach. One reason I didn't transition right away to online is just because it was just kind of like, I'm just so used to training people in person, and I'm already making a transition from working for somebody to being, my own boss. So it was just like comfort level. I had stayed doing the personal training, even though I felt like I knew it'd probably be beneficial. So it's like you kind of deal with that at first because you're used to doing something for so long, right? It's hard. And what you mentioned, it's like, when you talk to clients and you see them on through the sessions, or you might see them throughout the gym, it's like you do develop that connection.
Yeah,
it's that personal, you do get that personal connection. You have so many conversations. You're always constantly talking about other things, right? That even go outside of the gym. So it's like you build that friendly relationship. So that was one thing that I was hesitant at first. But, with things, being online, I think, think of us right now, we're on a Zoom, and so many people are on Zoom now. It just becomes a way. Like you might be hesitant of that, like people that have to do meetings in person. And now you're doing Zoom.
Second nature now.
So it's like you just kind of adapt, and you see the benefits of it, right? I'm sure a lot of people say, hey, I don't have to, travel all the time to go to these meetings. I can do the Zoom, and it's like, hey, we're still talking, right? We're still communicating. As we know, there's so many different forms of communication. So I think some of the things that I might have been, or a lot of people think about, it's like, well, are you going to have that personal connection? Are you going to be able to connect with your clients?
Right.
And I can tell through the clients I have now, it's like, no, I'm still connecting really well. We're having conversations just like if I was at the gym with them. So what I do think that is more beneficial, and particularly how I coach, it's like I'm more hands-on. Right. So I can actually help my clients more. When I was in person, it's like we're only focused on the session. So, I got to work you out. I got to talk about life. I got to give you all these tips in, this 1 hour session. Versus, with coaching, it's like, hey, we're always in constant communication. We do check-ins. I'm involved into their programs or what they have. So they have things that they can do each day. So it's like I have more access to them. They have more access to me. So it just really helps with that. So I think it's just so beneficial now to coach people online versus being in person, where you can only focus on the training aspect. And we know people need more than training.
You mentioned the personal connection. I'm just going to give an example from my point of view. So in New Jersey, gym shut down and I let my gym membership lapse. And I'm doing everything now at home, except of course I run a lot. So it's outside and I play tennis. But one thing I did, and this is not a sales pitch for Peloton, but I did get a Peloton. I jumped on the bandwagon. And what I'm amazed, because you mentioned the personal connection, is how the whole Peloton community, this is just one example, has this amazing affinity towards various trainers, right? There's Facebook communities, there's online communities, and you can see how people really connect to different trainers or different instructors, we call them. They've never met, but, and I have a couple that I prefer. And I don't necessarily, some people say they talk to me and all that kind of stuff. I won't necessarily go that far, but I can see a personal development of a personal relationship through the computer, which I never would thought possible. So I think what you're saying holds true. And I think, and that's leads to my next question is, now you found that it works and we'd like to know more about what goes on with online training. What do you foresee going forward once things do open up, once we get herd immunity, once the vaccination rates are such that gyms could potentially open up? Do you think that people now, because of the convenience, because of what they're used to, will now stay at home and prefer this kind of interaction with their coaches, trainers, et cetera?
Yeah, I think we do see the trends of what, there's people that have gotten polled and say some people don't want to come back to the gym. My theory behind it is I think people are already moving toward that. I had saw something even before COVID had happened. It said more people had an app on their phone as far as fitness was concerned than actually a gym membership. So it's just the convenience, if you think about it. I mean, I know some people feel like it's hard to drive to the gym, wake up early. So for some people, they actually love doing home workouts because it's just easier for them. So I think some people are going to go back to gym. Some people are going to love it because it's just like, hey, I get to leave the house, right? I get to do something. For some people, I think that's going to be something that's always going to be there. But I do think this is going to open, aha moment for some people to be like, hey, maybe have a home gym for people that have like a basement, garage that they can build out. Because to me personally, when I'm fortunate enough, I'm going to have a full decked out gym home just because, I'd rather just work out at home. You don't have to fight for equipment. I see the convenience of working out at home. So for me, I would see it. But I think for some people, it just kind of depends because I think about group coaching. I used to do group coaching as well. You're going to want to be actual there. You're not going to want to, just be at home. Because, if we think about it, that's always been available for people, right? But people always flock to, studios, flock to different gyms like that. So I do see some people going back, but I think a lot of people are just going to open, their eyes to it and be like, hey, I see a benefit of working out at home.
Because I think that one of the negatives of working at home before, and this is what Clinton's problem is, that he works out at home, but he ends up just eating potato chips. He has no accountability. There's no accountability. But now with the trainers, we can have Coach Lee yelling at you. I don't know if you coach jazzercise or sweating to the oldies and stuff he likes to do, but if you do
sweating to the oldies, that's a good one.
You like that, right? No, but all kidding aside, I think that was the issue. Is like, well, if I'm at home, I'll work out. Then if I get lazy, I won't push myself. If you're at the gym, you get that energy, and it pushes you over that hump. But now if someone's screaming at you, like I take the Peloton example, but again, I don't want to use that. I mean, there's many other apps and venues out there. Bowflex, Nordic Track, all that kind of stuff, where you can have people screaming at you, yelling you, motivating you. I think that takes that part out of the equation. I think it's incredibly powerful, and that's just a reflection of, like you said, technology. We have wearable technology, we have Apple Watches, we constantly track, fitness trackers, etc. So I think you're very smart, in my opinion, to have gone this route, and it seems like it's here to stay. But can you walk us through like what online coaching? You're not just training, you're coaching as well. What does that look like?
Yeah. So some people have like online training, and online coaching is different. And I know a lot of people that's confusion. So to me, online training is like what you do in the gym. You're still doing virtual sessions. I don't do virtual sessions at all. Like I actually coach people. So to me, the difference of coaching and training is like training, you're like actively doing instruction for that person. But to me, coaching is like you're actually coaching people on, strategy, philosophies, how to implement it in their life. So for me, it's like, hey, yeah, I designed the workout program for you. I designed, the nutritional stuff that you need. I'm big into mindset. So to me, mindset is going to get everything of these healthy habits to stick. So I have like a mindset piece into it. Like, so these things are actively working for that person, through the days, through the weeks. So it's like a built out program that people are going to be working on to help them get to their goals. And then with me as a coach, it's the same as trainer. You're still having that accountability, of course, and you're checking in on that person. You're tracking things. So it's another thing that I think I have a better advantage now. When I was just a personal trainer, it's like all I could track was just your workouts, because that's all we did. Hey, you did your workout, you did your session, but like, hey, I could track, some of the nutritional things that we need to work on. I can track your mindset things, and when we are communicating, I'm tracking that as well, because I look at how people communicate, because to me that's telling me if you're in the right mindset, if you're being positive, or you're still struggling with things. So for me, that's what I love about coaching versus just training. And even though I'm not saying trainers don't coach, I mean, yeah, you're still, coaching people, but it's totally different how you're implementing that for people.
I think the fitness industry tends to focus on isolated things at a time. Like your physical fitness is what, personal trainers deal with. And accountability is very important, because I don't think it matters whether you go to a gym physically or work out at home. Because me, for example, when I had a gym membership, I would go for a week, then I would stop going, but I'm still paying the membership. Now I have Peloton. I never ride the bike, but I got the app, so I'll do that for a week.
It shows, by the way, the fact you don't go to the gym, you use Peloton.
Thank you. You see the guns there, though? You see the guns?
Right.
Did you flex?
Pew, 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 pew.
We're just wondering. We were waiting for you to flex. Continue.
But I was saying, though, even though if it's online, like I'm still like, I think for me, I'm more likely not to do it online because I'm at home and like I haven't gotten out the house. So I think you're onto something where you're coaching a whole aspect of their health and physical fitness. So besides just the physical activity, what else do you coach clients with?
To add to that, how do you hold them accountable? That's what I'd be interested in knowing.
I think what you guys are mentioning is important. Is accountability is the most important thing, right? Because I can give you anything. It could be the worst program and the best program. It means nothing if you're not actually doing it right. Sure. You got to buy into it, and that's all part of the accountability. Yeah. So for me, with nutrition, I'm not a dietitian or anything like that. So I don't, design meal plans or anything like that. But I give the nutritional recommendations. I give them the templates. I give them like principles to follow, things like that they have. So I give them different resources and things like that they have with it. And to me, the best thing to do is you got to apply it, right? So you got to do it. So, I'm able to coach them through those things. So, hey, what are you struggling with? If it's, late night snacking, if it's eating out, if it's, some of the emotional things. So it's like I'm working on them, coaching them of ways to help them to work through it. And then as far as mindset, like I'll go over, like I actually have like, videos and written things that I need them to do. Like I say, like, I'm like a teacher where it's like, hey, you got homework to do. So they'll do that stuff. And then as far as the other accountability, like they have access to me, we'll text, we'll have check-in calls. So, no different than like if I was meeting somebody at the gym, making sure, hey, how's everything going? Because I can see it from my point of view, but I need to see it from their point of view. Because the biggest thing is them. To help them, I got to understand what's going on. So that's where it really helps. Like I said, that's why I'm able to get more accountability versus, just when you're at personal training somebody, like I said, it's only sessions. And after that, it's kind of like, hey, you go home and
you're on your own. Right.
But it's like with somebody now, I'd be like, hey, I saw you didn't get the workout in, or, hey, I saw, with nutrition, whatever we're tracking that you didn't do that, or, hey, what's going on? Is everything fine? And, when we talk about it at the end of the week, it's like, we talk about everything. And then that's where some of the personal stuff comes into as well. Cause, we just talk about life, it's not always got to just be about what you're doing.
You mentioned that you're in San Antonio, so you guys get a lot of sun down there, but like, I'm just wondering, like, Northeast where Clinton and I are at, New Jersey, lots of snow, it's cold, it's dark. Do you have so I'm just wondering, like, do you have issues with some of your clients saying, look, it's cold, it's dark, I'm doing emotional eating, I want to eat some macaroni and cheese or some chili, I don't feel like working out. How do you bust people out through that kind of mentally that funk that you see a lot of people in the wintertime who just kind of are like, you know, they call SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And I'm sure that affects people's mindset for working out. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah,
and I'm not saying for myself, to be honest, because sometimes.
No, I think that's a good point. I think we all will deal with like different things. So to me, it's like I try to get to the root of the whatever's going on, because my thing is like to everything that you have, there's always a solution. You know, if I don't know it, which I mean, I felt through my experience, I probably dealt with the majority of anything that somebody's going through. If not, you know, I'm gonna seek out to see what's the best for someone. But I think, you know, like you said, if it's, hey, you know, you're inside more and maybe you eat more, well, let's kind of identify that to go over, like, what can we do with that? You know, what is something that will not have that be an outlet for you where you're feeling depressed, that you're not, you know, seeing the sun. Because you're right. I mean, if you get the sunlight, it is a lot different. I could tell my mood. Like I said, I grew up in Chicago, so I know how it goes.
So you know about those winters.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing that I love about being out here, I'm wearing shorts and it's January, it's February. And, you know, it feels good when you walk outside and it's 70 degrees versus, you know, when you got to shovel snow and it's, you know, negative 10 degrees outside. So I understand, like, your mood does, you know, differ, but I just try to get it to be positive. So let's focus on the things that are positive. What's going well for you? Because I know if we are, you know, thinking about things, there's something going well for us. Let's focus on that instead of the things that you think that's going wrong. So I try to change it. Let's always stay positive. Let's stop thinking about the negative things, because we can change that energy. I guarantee you're going to be happy, because there's a lot of things that go right for somebody, but they focus on the negative and they can't see it.
If only we could take that model that you do with the interpersonal relationship and the coaching and do that with medicine, that'd be like, I'm sure we'd have so much good results. You know, because Suraj and I will spend time with the patient going over some kind of plan to treat some kind of ailment, whether it's simple as weight loss and diet. You know, you give them all the information they need, you give them some goals, they leave, and then they come back 3 months later with no results. So, you know, I'm not texting and calling. I mean, no doctor is probably doing that because it's...
Well, I would say, Clinton, that's probably why there's been that growth of, and this is separate off the issue from the coach, but something called direct primary care, where you have physicians opening up these boutique practices. Said, you know, I'm sick and tired of just treating a disease process. So they have a smaller segment of patients. You pay like a monthly fee. Yeah, and you basically, then that way you're available to them, and then people feel much more empowered and much more that they're making a difference. And that's same idea with you and your clients.
Yeah, for a general practitioner, if that's the problem of scale, like if I had 5 patients per day, then I could call them all as much as I want and give them as much attention, but you really can't do that. So for you as a business, how do you scale it? I mean, I guess you have to limit your clients, but how do you scale it so where you're as impactful to each individual client, but you're trying to optimize the benefits that you do for all your clients?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, once I'm, you know, for me, I'm always want to deliver a service that everybody's getting the same. So, you know, we don't want to run into the same thing that personal trainers run into. You know, that's one reason that a lot of us are gravitating to online, because you know, you might get the burnout effect where you're, you know, you're in the gym early morning and you got to be there all day. You're just nonstop train, right? And you start feeling burnt out. So, I mean, the same thing can happen online, even though, you know, my time isn't like that, because for most people, it's like I'm not there when you're working out, and, you know, I'm limiting, you know, sometimes when we are communicating. But the big difference is, you know, eventually, you're right, you can only help so many people. So if you get maxed out to that many one-on-one clients, then for me, it's like, hey, I can't handle it myself. And that's when I need to bring a team of other coaches that would want to join me and help on that. And then from there, you know, scaling that is also, for some people, might be helping the group. I think that's something that a lot of people still some people like the group stuff more.
That's
you know, like I said, I did group coaching and personal. And for some people, I might have thought that would have been the best thing for them to do one-on-one, but they're like, hey, I don't, you know, I need to be in a group. I love a group setting. I understand it, because like I said, I was on a team. So, you know, it does help when you have a full team around you. You know, I never had you know, like tennis or anything or golf where you're just you. So I don't know how that is, but it does support you when you have a team. So I know for some people, they would love a group type of setting. And that's something I do see myself doing in the future, of doing the group coaching, because for some people, they might enjoy it more. And also I could help more people. That's one thing I loved when I was doing group coaching. It was like, hey, man, I could be coaching 20 people and I was helping 20 people at a time in that 1 hour. Right. So I could see the benefit of helping more people. So that is something that I do see, as well as having a group of people where we can help more people at once.
So, Coach, in the time remaining, we want to get to where people can find you, all that kind of stuff. I just would interestingly, what kind of technology do you use, and how are you monitoring patients? How are you monitoring clients? Are you watching them lifting weights? Are you utilizing, treadmills? Are you utilizing spin bikes? How does that just basis of that process work?
Yeah, the great thing now is with everything, we have apps on our phone, which we all love using each day.
Sure.
So I think that makes it a lot easier. So for me is, using a training app, which allows me to build out everything on the program and put it there for people. So that makes it really accessible. So, they have their login and stuff, and I can see it from my point of view as a coach. They can see it from the client view. So there's different things that I'm able to track on there that makes it very useful for me. So I'm able to keep track of a lot of things. And then as well as just, like I said, talking to, some of the things I might not be able to keep track of, like sleep and, emotionally how they feel. Right. So for me, it's like, I just kind of gauge that when I'm talking to them, and I keep note of that, of what's going on and everything like that. That helps a lot, is having, apps nowadays. I think that makes it a lot easier to keep track of things. Just like you said, how people have those fit trackers, and they'll tell them how much sleep they get, how many calories, all that different type of stuff, right?
So if you can give our audience, listeners and viewers, one tip to try to, either maintain their weight or lose their weight during the quarantining, what would that be? Without giving away your secret sauce, though.
I was going to give one tip. Consistency. To me, consistency is the most important thing. And I think people need to understand is, based off how consistent you're going to be is going to directly tie to your weight.
Right.
So if you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to maintain weight, well, you need to look at what are you doing consistently. So you can think at it daily, weekly, because that's going to really tell the story. There's thousands of diet tips, there's thousands of other things, but it all boils down to consistency. I don't care what somebody is giving somebody advice. The consistency is what has to be there. So if somebody is wanting to do those things, they have to be consistent. So if you're not where you need to be at, I guarantee it's based off your consistency in some area.
Sure.
So the consistency has to be there. So being consistent is the golden tip to me. Simple but easy.
Everything falls into place after that.
Right.
Tell us where clients can find you, where you are on social media, your web address, all that even the name of your business.
Awesome. So my business is LTA Performance. So if you want to check out my website, see some of the awesome things I've done with my clients, and
absolutely.
Know a little bit more about my program, you can go to LTAperformance365.com. You can reach out there. And if people have social media, just like I reached out to you guys, I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So on Facebook and of course, LinkedIn will just be my name. So Lee Agbohlah. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram, is Coach Lee_LTA Performance, just like my business. Definitely could get directly in contact with me on social, and we can go from there.
And you're not on America Online, hopefully, because Clinton still has a MySpace. America.
You have wait. You have a Hotmail account. Don't do that.
Oh,
hey, Hotmail is not bad, man. Hotmail is okay.
Hotmail. They try to change it to MSN.
Hotmail's old school, just like me. So
old school. Dial-up old school. All right,
Coach, we really want to appreciate you coming on today. You are located in San Antonio, but you are, I'm assuming, available nationwide and maybe one day worldwide.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I'm available anywhere as long as you got internet connection.
No, that's fantastic. And I tell you, I think it's an incredible, even without COVID and the unfortunate pandemic, which maybe just sped up the process. I think this was a trend. And like you said, you already foresaw this prior, to February, March of last year. And I suspect this is going to be something, like you mentioned already, for all the reasons we discussed, that will continue. So really appreciate the insight. We wish you the best of luck, in all future endeavors. I think Clinton has learned a lot in terms of consistency and perhaps changing some of his midnight Popeyes chicken runs and, eating potato chips, his emotional eating, which is really playing havoc. So I'm hoping that will really motivate him going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Thank you, guys. I hope the tips have been useful for everybody. And
everyone listening out there is very, I have no doubt learned a lot. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll reach out to you. We appreciate all our listeners out there. Recommend Daily Dose with Coach Lee Agbohlah. This is Dr. Suraj Saggar, Clinton Coleman coming to you from lovely Teaneck, New Jersey. Until next time, be well. Thanks for listening.